You meet someone in a cozy place that smells of coffee and fresh bread. They laugh at your jokes in a way that makes the whole room feel lighter. Their hand touches your arm, and suddenly your heart forgets how to beat the way it used to. 3 months later, you're staring at your phone, seeing a gray circle where their picture used to be. A quiet message saying you've been blocked. They're online, smiling in photos with the very person they once told you not to worry about. Your friends tried to warn you. Your gut tried to stop you. Even a stranger from their past whispered, "Be careful." But desire shouts louder than wisdom, and this time, desire won. Now you sit in the ashes, wondering how something that looked like a sunrise could end by setting your heart on fire. There is a pattern at work in people like this, and it is not hidden. It's lit up like a billboard at midnight. The signs glow, the signals flash. But beauty is a bright light too, and bright lights can blind. You think you're different. You tell yourself that love is a wrench and you're going to fix the loose parts. You think care is a kind of glue that can hold together a soul that does not want to be held. But disregard is not a math problem, and your kindness is not a physics law. Disregard is a storm, and if you stand in it long enough, it will soak you down to the bones. Many forces in the culture encourage a certain story. Feelings above facts, self as the center, blame drifting outward like smoke. It is easy to live in a script where accountability is renamed oppression, where every misstep is someone else's foot. That script promises freedom, but delivers chaos. It says you can bend reality by insisting hard enough. And when that script takes root, relationships become stages, not homes. Roles replace people, victim, savior, villain, round and round. Listen to how someone tells their past. In their stories, every former lover was cruel, every boss was prejudiced, every friend was jealous. They never made a wrong turn. The roads were just badly designed. They never dropped the ball. Gravity betrayed them. If everyone behind them is toxic, the toxin is in the mirror. If every ending is a disaster movie, the common character is the one who survived each scene. This is not bad luck that repeats like the weather. This is a habit of mind that keeps repainting the same room and calling it a new house. Notice what happens when small things go sideways. A burnt dinner becomes your fault because you were breathing too loud. Being late becomes the city's fault because time chose violence. A missed commitment becomes your failure because you did not remind them to keep their word. The world turns into a theater where reality is a costume and responsibility is a prop. Tears appear at the exact moment you raise a fair concern, not as water drawn from a deep well of feeling, but as a lever pulled to move you where they want you to stand. It looks like vulnerability. It functions like control. If you comfort them when they cause the injury, you learn an old trick. Turn the mirror into a window and point outward. A man I once spoke with had a sharp mind for numbers and a soft heart for stories. He fell for someone who carried a museum of pain, hard childhood, ruthless exes, unfair bosses, faithless friends. He became a donor to that museum, funding the exhibits, paying the electricity bill. He offered therapy, time, money, and the quiet labor of being the person who listens at midnight. Months later, he met people from that museum's past, and they all told the same tale, not because they rehearsed it, but because reality repeats its own lines. Lies, cheating, manipulation. Then a public rebrand as a survivor of monsters. He could not hear it earlier because beauty can drown out the sound of alarms, and tears can blur the shapes of red flags. The hunger for chaos arrives dressed as passion. There are people who cannot live in peace because peace feels like emptiness. Silence rings like judgment. Calm looks like abandonment. When the weak sit still, they tip the table. They start fights with no center. They throw accusations like darts in a dark room. They set small fires just to make the sirens sing. You call it intensity because the emotions are loud. You call it chemistry because the highs sparkle. But the pattern is not love. It is a loop. The fight, the kiss, the apology, the promise, the repeat. Your nervous system becomes a piano they play with both fists. If you look at their history, you see short sprints of heat followed by explosions. You see relationships that burn bright and leave smoke in the lungs. The problem is not that the world keeps choosing storms for them. The problem is that their inner weather demands lightning. As time passes, the voltage must increase. Small fights no longer feed the beast. Bigger drama, bigger scenes, bigger allegations, public messes that stain your name at work, that pull your family into the street. Chaos asks for tribute and always comes back for more. Then there is the performance of life for strangers. Some people do not simply live, they broadcast. Every meal is a photo shoot. Every feeling is a post. Every quiet moment must be turned into a show. Their phone is not a tool, it is a shrine. You sit across from them and watch their eyes flicker with the light of 1,000 faces you will never meet. They check the screen while you speak. They check the screen while you share a bed. It buzzes, and your heartbeat becomes background music. Your tenderness cannot compete with the applause of the crowd. Your real presence loses to the illusion of infinite attention. You plan a night to actually taste the food and look at the moon. They position the plate, hold the glass at an angle, and miss the night entirely. The memory goes online. The moment goes unlived. Manipulation often does not feel like manipulation when it wears the right perfume. Tears when you need answers. Rage when you set limits. Silence when you ask for change. Words that twist the past and make you doubt your own recall. A promise was never a promise. You misunderstood. A sentence you heard was never said. You invented it. A blow-up that left you shaking now lives in their story as your overreaction. You begin to feel the soft creep of a lie slipping into your memory. If you stay long enough, your inner compass starts spinning. You begin to apologize for asking for basic decency. You begin to wonder if you are impossible to love. There are people who study you like a puzzle they plan to solve by undoing you. They learn your triggers and pull them like a child ringing a bell. They learn what you fear and draw that shape on the walls. They hint at self-harm if you leave, not because they want to die, but because they want you to stay. They call your family to seed doubt about your character, not to protect themselves, but to isolate you. They never break the law outright. They turn the screws just enough to keep you tangled. Sex becomes a ration, not a gift. Intimacy becomes a bargaining chip. Your insecurities become a list they keep for sudden use. Look also at the fear of being alone. Some people never let go of one branch without grabbing another. There is always a backup, always a whispering friend, always a DM's thread that looks harmless until it becomes the exit door. This is not love. This is a fear of mirrors. To be alone would force a gaze inward, and there is a room inside they do not want to enter. In that room, there are no filters, no chorus of strangers, no next target to impress. Just self and silence. Silence can be a hard teacher. Financial harm often travels with emotional harm. The same disregard for reality that bends truth can also bend budgets. You watch money vanish without memory of where it went. You watch plans get promised, but not pursued. Big opportunities hover like balloons that never land. You pay bills while they pay attention to trends. What's yours is ours, what's mine is mine, becomes an unspoken motto. Boundaries around money suddenly become signs that you are unloving. You find yourself funding a lifestyle that feeds the performance while starving the partnership. The language of justification is fluent. It's self-care, it's therapy in a bag, it's a once-in-a-lifetime deal, it's an investment that always arrives tomorrow. No one becomes toxic alone. Watch the crowd that gathers around them. You may see a circle that runs on gossip and grievance. They meet to pour wine on their wounds and measure whose hurt is the tallest. In that circle, growth is suspicious. Stability is settling. Healthy boundaries become evidence that you are controlling. The group does not encourage building. It encourages burning and calling the flames enlightenment. After a night with that choir, your partner returns, charged with fresh reasons you are not enough. Stories get exchanged like trading cards. Mine is worse. Yours is worse. We are all martyrs. Let us cheer for the fall. Emotions, when unheld, can run the house like wild horses. Some people do not feel. They become the feeling. Joy leaps too high. Sadness sinks too deep. Anger throws furniture in the mind. There is no middle ground where a person can sit and say, "This is hard, but I will breathe through it." When a small inconvenience hits, the reaction is built for catastrophe. If traffic can cause tears, what will a real crisis do? You realize you are not a partner, you are a regulator, a body made of padding and sandbags, trying to hold the river in its banks. Your own feelings grow quiet because the room is too loud for both of you. Another pattern. the refusal to learn. Life brings the same lesson in different clothes, and the person refuses every teacher. The same mistake appears in every job, every romance, every friendship. The common denominator is never inspected. To grow means admitting you were wrong, and that admission would threaten the whole structure of the self they have built. So, the mind edits. Memory becomes clay. The story changes. Yesterday's promise never existed. Last year's harm was a misunderstanding caused by you. Every relationship is rewritten as a saga where they gave everything and received nothing. When truth bends too often, reality becomes a rubber band that finally snaps. The deepest wound of all is that truth becomes optional, not just in emergencies or to avoid pain, but as a habit. Little lies that cost nothing still get told. Tiny exaggerations stretch to fill every corner. Drama blooms where there was no seed. Words become tools for leverage instead of bridges for meaning. A promise means, I want this now. An apology means, I want this moment to end. There is no link between speech and action, between identity and effort. The house of the self is built from mirrors and smoke. If you ignore these signs, the bill arrives. Not just in money, though money will bleed. Not just in time, though time will vanish. The debt comes due in trust, in hope, in the quiet ability to sit with someone good and believe them. A harmful partner can empty you out until the next kind hand feels like a trick. Healing, then, is not only untangling from one person, it is rebuilding the bridge between your instincts and your choices. It is teaching your nervous system that calm is not boredom and honesty is not a trap. There is a test that is both simple and holy. Set a boundary and observe. Say no with love and firmness. Keep a standard without raising your voice. Ask for respect and see what rises in response. Healthy people feel the rub of a boundary and adjust, even if awkwardly at first. Harmful people feel a boundary as an attack. They escalate. They flip the script. They make the line you drew look like a weapon in your hand. You are not cruel for wanting guardrails. Guardrails keep cars on cliffs from becoming memories. A relationship without boundaries is not love. It is drift. Do not mistake the quiet wisdom of stable people for dullness. The most boring person in a room is often the one who has learned to bury the matches and carry water. Stability is not the absence of passion. It is the kind of passion that builds. It is the fire in a hearth instead of a fire in the curtains. There is a beauty in people who can name their part in a conflict, repair a wound without a parade, and sit with discomfort without making everyone else pay admission to their pain. Choose this. Choose the person who can be alone without reaching for a new audience. Choose the person who treats truth like a friend they refuse to betray. Desire is loud, but wisdom is patient. Desire wants the rush. Wisdom wants the route. Desire says jump. Wisdom asks where you will land. Somewhere inside, you is a compass that has not forgotten north. It trembled when your new love told the same victim story again. It stirred when a tiny fight bloomed into a wildfire. It fell silent when you tried to speak truth and were told your memory was a liar. That compass is an old friend. Hear it, trust it. The cost of ignoring it is not only the ruin that follows, it is the slow erosion of your own voice. The world is full of people dressed like dreams. Some are dreamers who build gardens. Others are stage lights that burn whatever turns toward them. Your job is not to fix the second kind. Your job is to walk past the stage and find the garden. Your job is to choose the quiet pattern of care over the dazzling loop of chaos. Your job is to remember that love is not a swallow of gasoline. It is a cup of water offered daily, without spectacle. If you are recovering now, if the account is empty, the phone is blocked, the photos show a life that moved on without you, take this as a beginning, not an ending. You are not foolish for having loved. You are human for having hoped. You learned the shape of a mask and the sound of a lie. You felt how your own hunger can overpower your own truth. Let that knowledge change the way you carry your heart. Not closed, not bitter, but wiser, with a gate that swings and a lock that works. When you meet someone new, do the quiet work. Listen to the way they talk about those who came before you. See how they handle small disappointments. Notice whether attention is their oxygen or merely a breeze. Watch for the way they hold truth, gently, firmly, like something that matters more than winning. Don't wait for the 50th sign. The first sign is enough. Life is long, and you do not need to spend it repairing the same house that keeps choosing to burn. There are people who will meet you at that cafe and laugh softly, not to seduce, but to share the air. There are people who will reach for your arm, not to steer you, but to stand beside you. Choose them, and if you do not see them yet, choose yourself until you can. Love is not supposed to feel like drowning with rare moments of air. Love is a steady tide that asks you to breathe. Pick the tide, leave the undertow. Let the bright, loud carnival pass without climbing aboard. Walk the side streets where the light is kind and the voices are real. There, two people can be ordinary together in a way that feels like miracle. There, truth can live without needing a costume. There, life does not need an audience to be worth living.